Hi, welcome to Hunt Resin. In this video I'm going to be making this beautiful pastel tray with gold and delphinium petals. So the delphinium petals and gold leaf are in the middle and on the sides, and then I have metallic gold and pastel paste resin in the middle of pinks and whites, so just off white and purple, and the handles which are stuck inside. So the first thing I do is I measure out how much resin I'm going to be using for everything, but I do get rid of the bubbles with a little lighter there for the mixed resin. So I measure out the gold leaf and clear resin, and I do 60 mils of that, and then I do some clear resin by itself. I think another 60 for that as well, and then I do the colours. So I have 3 colours, and I'm using an off-white, it's like parchment, which is kind of ivory, and then I'm using pink and lilac pastels. So the pink I'm using 30 ml, and the lilac and the parchment I'm using 40 for each of them. So I'm measuring everything out to make sure I have everything accurate, and then I'll be putting in the colours after that. And I'm also doing half of one of those little silicone ones for the metallic gold. I always make too much gold every single time. I never learn. That was only like half of it. It was maybe 10 mils. No, there's 15 altogether, 10 and 5. I think I did about 10, and I still still had loads left over, so I need to make less of the gold in the future. So now I am putting in the gold leaf, so I just get a little chunk, a couple of chunks. I want them to be quite big chunks, so I put a big bit in and then mix it up while it's in there. I should probably mix it up a bit more because it was a bit chunky when I put it in, like mushed together rather than separate chunks. So I mix that together well. I want bigger chunks sparsely out rather than smaller chunks of gold leaf. I would have broken it up individually if I wanted it like that. So this is the paste. You get lots of different paste. This is from Resin, as I have loads of it left. But you get loads of other brands that you can use just like this. There's a beautiful pink one I think I saw on Etsy. So just have a search about, but this is really, really pretty. You have to mix that a lot with the paste. You can see the lines in it sometimes. And then this is the purple. As you can see, it's like I've had it upside down by accident. I leave them in a crate. There you go, and it popped out. So I just push it down to get it to pop and go back down. With most pigment pastel pastes, you don't need a lot, so I would be careful how much you're putting in because the colour can be quite strong. I've done the pink one before and I've just made it awful and it's not set, so yeah, just not too much. And it gets all on the corners as well, it gets all mixed in there, so you have to make sure you get right to the edges and get as much as you can, and yeah, take it off the whatever you're using to stir it with. And then I'm doing this like parchment. It looks darker in this video, but it's quite light. It's more like old paper parchment. I think that's why it's called parchment. Kind of an off ivory. And it's actually gorgeous with this. It works really, really well. Kind of lightens up the other colours, but not white, so it doesn't make them look like a baby pink. It's kind of a baby pink, but even babier. It actually just makes them, I don't know, just a different, nicer colour, I would say. Really, really like them. And then I'm going to do the gold. With this, I actually need quite a lot of it. I say quite a lot, it's actually not a lot at all, really. I mix it just so it's, yeah, right on the surface. Look at that metallic gold, it's absolutely gorgeous. So now they're all prepared, I get to pouring. So the first thing I do is go down at an angle with the resin and the gold leaf, and I just go down right diagonally across it, and then I do the other 2 corners because that's the design I want to do. You can do it anywhere you want, really, on the edges and stuff. It's nice because you can see the edges through when it's done, so I like doing that. And then add some clear resin to the sides because I want the colours to kind of merge into that as well, and make them a bit kind of more flowy. And then I break up the gold leaf. As I said, it kind of clumps together a wee bit in some of them, so I want them to be a bit more sparse because I'm going to be putting on the delphinium petals. Now I try and sparsely put them out with different colours, but there's a lot more of one colour, like 2 colours than there are of others, so I try and pick out like the pink ones because you can see them there, they're a bit more bright. So I kind of work out where I want things, and I want a nice mixture of all colours so that it goes through nicely and it brings out the colours in the tray as well. So yeah, I just play about with that, and there's a huge clump there. Some of them are quite thick and clumped together, so I have to break them apart or take some out. I do take a couple out later on as well, just because I feel like it's too much. But it does come out really nice in the end, so it's worth it. Always trust the process. Sometimes you can think, oh gosh, I don't like this anymore, it doesn't look nice, it's not how I envisioned, but you can get it there in the end, so I wouldn't panic. So then that's all my leaves and the gold leaf. Then I'm going to put in the colours now afterwards. I think I went looking for more pinks just to bring that colour out, because it does look really, really nice. And then I put some more clear resin on top just to try and push the petals down. I am going to be doing a clear resin on top of the whole thing after it's set, so just to completely encase all those petals. So they just keep on rising to the surface. It's quite hard for them to be completely encased. I could never do it in one pour, so that's why I do a second coat after everything's been done. Now I put on the colours. Now with the colours I just kind of wing it. I have an idea of where I want things to go every time, so I put certain colours in certain places next to each other, but then I kind of don't really have a choice because I'm going to be pushing things together and they kind of just merge. It kind of makes a marble effect, so put them in where you think's nice, and then they'll all flow, which will work really, really nice. Unfortunately, sorry, the tray is actually further down than the camera, I didn't realise, but I do push it up in a wee while. But you can just see the colours there. I'm just merging them together. I'm trying to push the river in a wee bit. Yeah, I feel like there's too much of the clear and it's not actually flowing in. There you go, see, I just pulled it and it's starting to flow to do it, and it does in the end, so it's actually fine. So I just put all these different colours and fill it up even more, going around to the corners and stuff, and yeah, using all my resin because you want to fill it up and not waste any resin. I now go around to bits with some metallic gold, and I just kind of follow the lines. As I say, I'm going to be using a heat gun on it, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just doing it kind of for fun, putting on certain lines. You want it in different places, but it's going to flow with it. And then I actually put clear resin on top of the colours, just so that they flow a bit better when I'm doing the heat gun too. So some clear resin, and then that's it. I started using the heat gun, and I just start slowly pushing it, and it'll just work its way. After a while it starts working into each other, and it comes out really, really nice in the end. Actually, I like merging these colours together. I love these colours. I actually make a clock like this and it's stunning. Not with the delphinium petals though, just the colours and some grey. But yeah, I just continue going over it until you can still see the lines of the clear resin on top. So I continue doing it until they're all gone, and you can see the gold's kind of merged as well. So I just keep on using the heat gun until I get a design that I like, and that all the colours are kind of merged together, and I think they look really nice and marbled and pretty. I just continue doing it, and I kind of put the colours a wee bit into the clear as well, so I kind of want them to flow in and look a wee bit sparsy, and yeah, I think it's really nice. But you can do your own way and what you prefer. Some people don't like the colour going into the clear resin, some people like that definition of being completely solid, so it's all up to you. You just don't need to do what I'm doing here with the toothpick, and just leave it. I'm also trying to move some of these leaves because I feel like there's just too many petals. I actually do take a couple out afterwards, so I didn't record it, but sorry, but I do take a couple of the big ones out just because they feel like they're just a bit too clumpy. And then go over the resin with my lighter. So with the lighter, I kind of merge in between all the petals because you do not want to burn them. As I say, they rise to the surface, there's always bits sticking out, and you do not want to burn them. I've burnt them in the past before. I mean, you can just take it out, but it's not good. You don't want things burnt. So I kind of just meander through, it's like a little river, all the bits in the side, and there is going to be some bubbles that are going to be little ones and even bigger ones on the bottom. So you want to try and get some of them, especially on the corners like I'm doing there, because you're going to be able to see through there. And then on the main resin there's going to be some bubbles that are going to come out, so the coloured resin. So just go right over as much as you can. I do it a couple of times, and I actually turn this over in a second, and I do it from the other side too, because there's only so much you can see on one side, especially when you're doing something bigger like a tray. And I went over it again here, the little river, and going right down and going in between all the petals and things. And then I give it a little spin and do from the other side again, and then I think I do it again. So just constantly doing as much as I can. And then let it set for about 3 to 5 hours, and then I decide to put in the handles because it's a bit more sticky and a bit more solid at this point in time. It's still gooey, but it's not super liquid. So I kind of know, I've worked out where I've done the measurements before with my mold of where it is in the middle and to the side. So I kind of know the dips, because this is like a geode mold, of where I meant to put them. So I can kind of just hand wing it. You're always going to get like a bubble come up underneath from it because there's a screw hole. So a lot of the time you're going to be left with like a little bit of a dent where there's no resin, because the big bubbles come out. So that's what I'm doing here, you can't see. But on the other side there was actually a big bubble came out, and then there's a dent of no resin. So I was just filling that in a wee bit and trying to get there. Unfortunately I realised I'm not wearing gloves as well. I totally forgot until after I'd actually filmed it. But I'm not technically touching resin, so it's okay. Not actually pouring, I'm just putting in the handles. And I actually need my fingers to be really subtle, you know, I need to be able to dexterity, so it's a bit easier, because if I had, no matter what I do, the gloves are always either too big or too small, and there's always a bit flapping on the end, and then you touch resin, you scuff it with your finger, and then there's resin on your glove and it's all sticky, and then you might ruin your design. So that can be a bit of a disaster, especially when it's semi-set. Nothing worse than touching some resin when it's semi-set. Oh, usually you have to wait for it to set and then sand it down, and you just want to cry. So I pop in the other one, and again I kind of know roughly where to put it. I do double check. I use a ruler in a second, and I'll show you how I do that to double check that they are actually in line. I'm not sure, they look kind of in line at this angle, but that is kind of to the side, so you can't tell. Oh, and as you can see, I actually put a card sheet underneath it, because my table seems to be fine. It just seems to be at that, where that is, I don't know what's causing it. My table says it's level, but then it's not. I don't understand. But this is what I have to do, is I just put a little sheet underneath to make sure that it's leveled for the resin. And here we go. I use a ruler to measure and to make sure that it's straight, so I can actually just put them together, put it on one, and then work out whether that's touching it or not by making it straight. And I kind of push it up and down a couple of times and make sure that it is completely equal, and then they should set in the resin, which is fantastic. And I'll be doing a top coat of clear resin in the morning, so I let it completely set right at this point in time, and then I put a top coat on just because I want it to be completely clear and completely set, and I can deal with the top coat afterwards. And again, little bubbles are getting in, and little leaves, petals even. So I'm just using a toothpick to kind of pop them and to distribute the resin out, because at this point in time the resin's not self-leveling. It is going to need a little bit of a hand to move over. And then I put my little lid on top so it can set overnight, and then I'll be putting on a top coat of clear resin in the morning, and then I'll let that set, and then I'll be able to demold it. So much time takes to demold things. I'm so impatient, I just want it to be ready instantly. Oh. The next morning, you have no idea how tempted I was to take it out the mold, but I was like, no, I can't, I need to put a top coat on. I just really wanted to see it. So this is it hardened for about 12 hours, maybe a wee bit more, maybe 18. It's still a wee bit bendy actually, and I'm going to take some of the little droplets of colours and stuff that are kind of on the coaster at the top, mould even, so that it doesn't go into the clear resin, and it's nice and clean. And I've had a little look over and dusted off any things that are on top, but it's absolutely fab, and there are like no hairs or anything, thankfully, once it's set. So then I'm going to get my clear resin. So I measured out 100 ml of clear resin, and I purposely put it over the petals first, because the petals are always kind of coming out and they're always above. So the resin, so I want that to be good. The corners are quite hard, and the bits just between the handles as well, and that's kind of difficult because I do have my handles quite close to the edge. So I work that as much as I can. Use this little spatula tool, which is a godsend, silicone spatula tool, just to get right into the cracks, right into the corners and creases, and make sure everything's completely covered. Then if you get any resin on the handlebars, you can just wipe it down. Surgical spirit, like rubbing alcohol. I spray it onto the blue roll or kitchen roll, and then I wipe it, but I'm obviously very gentle that I don't make sure that nothing gets into the resin, or nothing like none of the paper gets into the resin as well. And then of course I torch it as much as I can over and over again to make sure there's no bubbles, and I let it set until in the morning. And here we go, the grand reveal. Woohoo! I think it's absolutely stunning. I love it. It's actually completely hard as well, which is fantastic. The top coat's helped the bottom coat resin harder too, and it's given a nice thickness. It's actually a nice size. There are a little bit of ridges there that I can get. I think I need to leave them a wee bit longer. I do try in a second, but I want to leave them a bit longer so they actually get a bit harder to use the deburrer tool on them. But how gorgeous is that? I love all the colours on the side. It's so pretty, and the clear, it's super clear. It wasn't easy to get out actually. Not hard, I didn't need any silicone spray, but it's yeah, so nice. You can see the gold going through it and the colours, and I just love that river. It's so nice and clear. Gold and the petals just look super beautiful together. Well chuffed with it. Absolutely love how it's turned out, and I hope you do too. I hope it's nice. I hope you learned something from here, or managed to do something that you enjoyed and that looks nice from the things that I've shown you. I love the corner. You can literally see right through with the clear corners, which I think is fab. You can see how the handles have just set in there absolutely perfectly, and they don't move. They're absolutely solid. And my hand actually fits underneath there. I know I actually didn't do it, I did it after, but I can hold it really well. This can be used, you know, as decoration, to put candles on, things like that, or for a wedding. Lots of people use them for weddings, to hold trinkets and things like that, or signs and stuff, and just goes, you can do all different colours that you want to go with your wedding designs. So yeah, that's a very big thing. It's very common and very popular to get something like that. You can even put names on them as well. I'm going to do a video on that and doing personalised stuff, which is awesome. If you have any specific requests, please put it in the comments, and if you liked this video, please give it a like, and if it was helpful, please let me know so I know I'm on the right track and doing the right things. And I hope to see you again soon in my next video. Bye!